Before we begin, please subscribe and like this channel so you never miss a new true story. He threatened my daughter, stood on my porch with his chest puffed out like a man who'd never been told no in his life. And he had no idea I spent 26 years as a United States Marshal. My name is Elijah Marsh. I'm 63 years old and I've lived a quiet life since I hung up my badge 8 years back. These days, you'll find me tending tomatoes in my backyard in Richmond, Virginia, reading Louis L'Amour novels on the porch, and spoiling my grandkids on Sundays after church. I earned that quiet. 26 years chasing fugitives across state lines, serving federal warrants, protecting witnesses who had nowhere else to turn. A man deserves some peace after that. I raised my daughter Renata mostly on my own, after her mother passed when she was 9. She grew up watching me leave in the night for the job, watching me come home some mornings with new lines on my face I never explained. She became a nurse, strong-willed, soft-hearted, the kind of woman who still stops to help a stranger change a tire. She's 34 now, married 3 years to a man named Dorian Blake. I never trusted Dorian, not from the first dinner. He had a salesman's smile and a taste for showing off, leased cars, name brand everything, always talking about deals that were about to pop off. Renata was dazzled. I kept my mouth shut because a father's suspicion isn't proof of anything, and I'd learned in my career that the worst mistakes come from acting on a feeling instead of evidence. So I watched, quietly, the way I used to watch a suspect's house from an unmarked car for 11 hours straight, patient as stone. Things got worse over the last year. Dorian's business, some import company he never fully explained, started hemorrhaging money. Renata mentioned bounced checks, mentioned Dorian's mood turning short, sharp, cold. She never used the word scared, but I heard it under everything she said. A father knows his daughter's voice the way a musician knows his own instrument. I could hear the tremor she was trying to smooth over. Then came the Tuesday evening that changed everything. Renata showed up at my door at 9 at night, no coat, car still running in the driveway like she hadn't decided if she was staying. Her hands were shaking. She told me Dorian had gambled away almost $60,000 of money that wasn't his. Money from an account tied to her name, money meant for their mortgage, her nursing school loan payoff, her safety net. When she confronted him, he didn't yell. He got quiet in the way dangerous men get quiet. He told her, if she went to a lawyer, if she told anyone, if she made him look bad, he'd make sure she regretted it. He said he knew people. He said things about her job, her reputation, her safety, wrapped up in that smiling, casual tone predators use, so it sounds almost like a joke. Except it wasn't a joke, and she knew it, and so did I. And I want to tell you something about men who threaten a woman and think it ends there. I spent a career studying exactly that kind of man. The bravado, the performance of power, usually built on nothing but debt, fear, and desperation, dressed up as confidence. I didn't raise my voice that night. I made Renata tea, sat her down, and told her she was safe under my roof for as long as she needed. Then, after she went to sleep in her old room, I sat in my study with a legal pad and old habits that never really left me. I didn't call the police that night. Not yet. A man like Dorian, cornered too fast, does something reckless. I needed to build this the way I built cases for 2 decades. Quiet, methodical, airtight. I started making calls the next morning. A retired colleague still working financial crimes gave me guidance on how threats tied to concealment of stolen funds get treated differently than a garden variety domestic dispute. How, if you tell anyone I'll make sure you regret it, combined with theft, becomes something prosecutors take very seriously. I helped Renata document everything, every text, every voicemail Dorian left, in that syrupy, calm, menacing tone, every withdrawal from the account. I said almost nothing about my old job in front of him. Let him believe what he wanted. Some retired old man, harmless, maybe worked in insurance, maybe city government. People like Dorian never ask real questions about a quiet man's past. They're too busy performing strength to notice who they're really standing in front of. 2 weeks later, Dorian showed up at my house unannounced, engine gunning into my driveway, slamming his car door like he owned the block. He came up my porch steps with that same salesman's smile, stretched too tight over something uglier underneath. He said Renata wasn't answering his calls. He said I needed to tell my daughter to stop making things complicated. Then he leaned in, dropped his voice, and told me, man to man, like we were sharing a secret, that if she went forward with any of this, there'd be consequences. He said it soft, he said it smiling. That's the part people don't understand about real threats. They rarely come loud. I looked at him for a long moment. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't clench a fist. I've faced men holding actual firearms with steadier hands than his. I simply said, Dorian, I spent 26 years finding men who thought threats were leverage. Every single one of them believed they were the exception. Not one of them was. I watched something shift behind his eyes, and that first flicker of understanding, that he'd misjudged the quiet old man in the cardigan holding a mug of coffee on his own porch. I told him the documentation was already with people who mattered. Financial investigators, an attorney experienced in domestic financial abuse, and yes, contacts from my old world who take threats against a federal adjacent family seriously given my history. I told him nothing had to become a headline if he did the right thing. Return what could be returned, sign the separation paperwork without a fight, and never contact my daughter again except through her lawyer. I told him this wasn't a negotiation, it was a mercy, offered once. Dorian tried anger next, accused me of turning Renata against him, said I'd always hated him. I let him finish. Then I said, calm as ever, son, I didn't turn her against you. You did that yourself. The day you decided threatening a woman was easier than being honest with her. He didn't have an answer for that. Men like him rarely do, once the performance stops working. 3 days later, his attorney contacted Renata's attorney. Assets were disclosed. A structured repayment plan was arranged for what could be recovered. The threat stopped completely because Dorian's lawyer had clearly explained to him exactly how much worse his life would become if federal financial investigators and Virginia prosecutors got a formal complaint with a timeline of digital threats attached to it. The divorce was finalized without another confrontation. No shouting matches, no dramatic scenes, just paperwork, silence, and a man quietly disappearing from my daughter's life the way cowards do once the mask comes off. Renata cried the day the papers were signed, not from heartbreak, but relief. She hugged me in my kitchen and said, Dad, I don't know how you stayed so calm through all of it. I told her the truth. Calm isn't the absence of anger. Calm is what you build after you've learned that anger, spent too early, only shows your hand. I told her I wasn't calm because I wasn't afraid for her. I was calm because I refused to let fear make the decisions that day. That's a lesson 26 years in law enforcement teaches you, if you let it. Patience isn't weakness. Patience is a weapon you never have to raise your voice to use. 6 months later, Renata's back on her feet, new apartment, new sense of herself, laughing again the way she used to as a little girl. She started dating someone new recently, a school teacher, gentle and steady, the kind of man who asks questions and actually listens to the answers. I like him. More importantly, I trust him because trust, once broken, the way Dorian broke it, isn't given lightly in my family anymore. As for Dorian, last I heard he moved out of state, still chasing whatever scheme promises him the life he never earned, honestly. I don't think about him much. I think about my daughter's laugh, restored. I think about the quiet strength she found standing next to me on that porch, watching a man who thought threats would win, learn, too late, exactly who he was threatening. Some men mistake an old man's silence for weakness. They never stop to wonder what that silence was trained to do.